Good morning, parents, staff and students. Welcome to our assembly this morning. Please stand as the official party join us on the stage.
Please join in the singing of the national anthem.
Please be seated. I'd now like to welcome Nat and Max to do our Welcome to Country and prayer.
Gonna go. I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Darrell people, whose country we learn and work together. Lastly, I'd like to pay my respects to elders both past, present, and future, and extend my response to our non-Indigenous people here today.
Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." Our candle is lit as a symbol of his presence with us. Each of us has been given certain gifts and talents. As Christian people, we are called to use these gifts for the good of our communities and in glory of our God. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it says, "To the person who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness." And so we pray, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We pray, Lord, in thanksgiving for our many gifts and talents celebrated today. We thank you for the opportunities we have been given to use them. May we continue to work towards being our best selves, serving our world, and pleasing you. In your goodness, Lord, reward us with wisdom and happiness. St. Marshall and Champagne, Mary, our good mother, and let us always remember, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you to the students for leading us in prayer. To begin our assembly this morning, please welcome Ryan Carter and Declan Byram, who will tell us what's been happening in the maths competition this year.
This year, St. Greg's entered 4 teams in the Australasian Problem-Solving Mathematics Olympiad. This was the first time that St. Greg's had entered this competition, and as you'll see later, we had some great results. The teams entered were the top two math classes in Year 7 and Year 8, and we competed as teams as well as individuals. The APSMO is a competition that challenges students to solve mathematical problems in a creative manner using intuition and logic rather than simply applying a concept learnt in class. This year, over 49,000 students from across Australia, New Zealand and Asia competed in a 5-monthly rounds of this competition from May to September. Each contest paper consisted of 5 challenging math problems which are designed to challenge and extend students. Later in today's assembly, students will be receiving their awards for this competition. After round 4, 8A and 7A were on equal scores, and I would like to congratulate the 7A math class who finished 1 point ahead after the last round. Then, on the 9th of August, 39 St. Greg boys were part of the 190,000 students across 30 countries who sat the Australian Mathematics Competition. Now, in its 41st year, the AMC is Australia's premier mathematical problem-solving competition. It consists of 30 carefully crafted and engaging problems that help students explore and develop their problem-solving skills. The problems are designed to test mathematical thinking, and the questions are designed so that they can be answered just as quickly without a calculator as with one. The problems get more difficult through the competition, so at the end they're challenging to even the most gifted students. St. Greg's had some great results in the AMC this year, with half of our entrants earning credit awards or higher. I'll now hand over to Declan.
Throughout this year, Ryan, myself, and many other boys were given the opportunity to take part, not only in those competitions, but also in series of maths challenges that tested our problem-solving skills. These required us to use our prior knowledge, as well as learn new concepts and skills, and use logical reasoning to answer the questions that were posed. The first challenge was called Spook Numbers, and it involved 4 questions that in comparison to what was to come, were pretty straightforward. This was open to all Year 7 and 8 students. The second was a holiday challenge that consisted of a set of 10 questions that also required logical reasoning, and it was also open to all Year 7 and 8 students. The students who demonstrated logic and insight and had the most correct solutions in the first 2 challenges were introduced to an activity hosted by the Australian Mathematics Trust, AMT, called the Mathematics Challenge for Young Australians. This challenge was a 3-week program that involved 6 questions. I never imagined that you could spend 3 weeks just answering 6 questions. There were 17 of us from Year 7 and 8 who took on this challenge. These questions required us to use our current knowledge and apply it to some very unusual and in some cases very unlikely scenarios, including finding the optimum way to place a series of transmitters to protect our caravan park from fire ants. The 5 students with the best marks in the challenge stage progressed to the Euler enrichment stage. This was a 13-week program that consisted of 12 questions. Yes, 12 questions in 13 weeks. This stage was torture. I guess you could call it enjoyable torture. We not only had to enhance our knowledge on concepts such as the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple, but we also had to learn new concepts including arithmetic sequences, the pigeonhole principle, and my least favourite, modular arithmetic. And just when we thought we had seen it all, Mrs. Hackett entered Ryan and myself in the Australian Intermediate Maths Olympiad, and the difficulty of maths moved to a whole new level. This was a 4-hour exam which posed 12 extremely challenging maths questions. This is open to students in years 7 to 10, and we are looking forward to trying this competition again over the next few years. While these concepts may never be examined in any high school maths exam, they have taught me new skills and different ways of approaching problems, as well as the most valuable of life skills, persistence and perseverance. I would encourage anyone who enjoys maths and solving problems to try these challenges next year. On behalf of all the boys who have been involved in the wide range of maths competitions, we would like to thank Mrs. Hackett, Mrs. Giles, and Mr. Graham for making these opportunities available at St. Greg's this year. I now hand over to Mrs. Giles.
Ryan and Declan, don't go away. Come back here quick, because we didn't give you a clap either, Ryan. Come out here. Let's congratulate these boys. What a brilliant speech this morning. Good job. Thanks, boys. I get the good job of presenting the awards to the students that have earned places in these competitions this year, and I'd ask Mr. Miller to present these awards to the students. Could you please hold your applause until the end of each group? So the following students achieved a credit award in the Australian Mathematics competition. From Year 7, William Cossis. Toby Drinnan. Harry Elson. Joshua Federico. Kieran Minogue. And Yavinash Virakuma. And from Year 8, we have Sebastian Petrovsky. And Manoj Weerasingham. From Year 9, Liam Moziani. From Year 10, David Devekis. And Jake Nash. From Year 11, Alessandro Coman. Lachlan Kennedy. And Ryan Woods. Please congratulate these students on their awards. The following students achieved awards in the Australasian Problem-Solving Maths Olympiad. John McDonald, the highest individual team score. Josh Jacob, highest individual team score. Thomas Anderson, Special Achievement Award. Lucas Booker, Special Achievement Award. Jacob Darby, Special Achievement Award and Top 25% Achiever. Please congratulate these award winners. The following boys have achieved awards in more than one maths competition this year. Andrew Parkin, the Australian Mathematics Competition Credit and Maths Challenge Stage Credit. Sam Smith, Australian Mathematics Competition Credit and APSMO Individual Team Highest Scorer, Top 25% Achiever. Jordan Messer, Maths Challenge Stage Credit, APSMO Individual Team Highest Scorer and Top 25% Achiever. Daniel Long, Australian Mathematics Competition Credit and Maths Challenge Stage Distinction. Ryan Carter, Australian Mathematics Competition Distinction, Maths Challenge Stage Credit, APSMO Individual Team Highest Scorer, School Highest Scorer and Top 10% Achiever. and Declan Byram, Australian Mathematics Competition Credit, Maths Challenge Stage Distinction, Maths Enrichment Stage Distinction, and APSMO Special Achievement Award. I'm now going to hand over to Angus Rochester, who will let you all know about how you can utilise your problem-solving skills to earn points for your house.
Thank you, Miss Giles, and congratulations, boys. As Miss Giles mentioned, the student leader and the Extension 1 Maths class have decided that all members of the senior school deserve the opportunity to demonstrate their problem-solving skills while earning points for their house at the same time. To do this, we'll be running a Problem of the Week competition. 2 problems will be published in the House Report every week. There will be a junior problem for students in Year 7 to 9, and a senior problem for Year 10 to 12, as well as any staff who would like to get involved. Solutions for the junior problem will be assessed by students in our Year 12 Extension 1 Maths class. Solutions from the senior school will be assessed by Miss Hackett. The most important thing about these problems is the way that you get to your answer. If only the final answer was important, then we would never have to watch another footy match or cricket game. We could just look at the final score. The journey is just as important as the final destination. So, points will be allocated as follows. For every correct solution, and not just answer, will earn the boy 1 house point. The best solution for each problem will earn 5, 4, and 3 points respectively, and the best solution will be published in the next week's House Report. Details on how to enter will be published with the first problem in the next House Report. So I definitely encourage you guys all to get involved, as it's a really good opportunity to earn points for your house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Giles, Angus, and congratulations to all students who are recognised this morning. Please now give your attention to Miss Ray and the college band, who will perform Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
Well done from the band. Isaiah Dorr boarded at St. Greg's from 2010 to 2012. Izzy went on to many things since leaving school. This has included Isaiah becoming the first Aboriginal person awarded the TAFE New South Wales Student Graduate of the Year last year. He was the first Aboriginal person to be appointed chair of the New South Wales Youth Advisory Committee, and he was even part of the first Indigenous team to sail in the prestigious Sydney to Hobart yacht race. His only sailing experience prior to this was having caught the Manly Ferry twice. By knowing it was impossible, believing in yourself and your dreams are beyond achievable. To tell his story, please welcome Isaiah to the microphone.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time since I've been here, about 6 years or so. But firstly, I'd love to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands and waters of which we gather upon today, the Dharawal people. And I do so under responsibility as a Butcherla and Garawa saltwater Murray man, and my skin name is Yakamari. At 17, I was travelling back to boarding school after the holidays when my foster carer sent me a text message saying I was no longer able to live with them. When it came to complete my high school certificate in the older, I guess, or the combined now hall, I couldn't even focus on my papers. I was thinking about where I was going to live and how I was literally going to survive. I know what it feels like to be hopeless, unworthy, and to be treated with disrespect. It's something that I would never wish upon another person. I want everyone to feel a sense of worth, a belonging, and comfortable in their own skin when they're around me. And the way I think that you can do that is just by being kind. So my name is Isaiah Dorr, and as I said, this is my story. I was born in Paddington's Women's Hospital on the 3rd of June in 1994. At 2 months old, I was taken from my family and put into the foster care system. A couple of years had passed and I was placed back into my father's care with my older sister. I lived in a small caravan park with nothing but a bed, toilet and sink. The last thing I remember before being removed from his care was receiving the scars on the back of my head. I was physically hit in the head and woke up in a speeding car, having blurred visions of other cars flashing by, to then blacking out again and then waking up in a neck brace with multiple stitches in the back of my head. So I then become a ward of the state, meaning I was trapped into the system until I was 18 years old, no matter what. As I grew up in foster care, I was taken away from my only 2 sisters and my whole extended other family, to never know about them, to never hear from them or know their whereabouts. And I was placed into many non-Indigenous homes, so I was deprived of my culture, my belonging, my purpose, my love. And I was placed into a lot of different strangers' homes, and they were loving and caring towards the system's eyes, but behind closed doors, they were abusive to me and my younger sister. There were times when I'd come home from school and the carer would get inches away from my face and she'd say, "Isaiah, you are a nobody. You're never going to amount to anything in your life. Nobody wants you. That's why you're in foster care, because your family abandoned you." And I was told that I was going to end up in jail just like my parents, where I actually belonged. And I was told this daily from the ages of 6 years old. I had many suicidal thoughts when I was in care, and when I couldn't escape and run away, I felt as if I was to rot in the system and no one really cared about me. But the one thing that kept me from completely going was my younger sister, and knowing that she was the only family member that I ever had, and that if I left, she would be there to fend for herself. And we used to say things, and we still do, "It's you and me against the world," because that's all we ever had. We didn't have any mum or dad love, moral support, or that pat on the back when days got tough. We just had each other. While my experiences at home weren't great, neither was my schooling. I had to do reading recovery as I couldn't spell, read or write, and I eventually had to repeat year 4. And as a teenager, I was very active in playing rugby league and all sports. That was my outlet. That's where I felt as if I had a sense of worth. And so I come home one day from one of my placements, and my carers were sitting around the table, and they said, "Isaiah, we've got an opportunity for you here. This might be the best thing that might ever happen to you." And it was to attend this school, St. Gregory's College in Campbelltown, as a boarder. And so it was truly a massive turning point in my life. And not only physically, emotionally, but it gave me that strong sense of belonging and that family culture. And so when I got to St. Greg's, I was quite shocked. As a lot of you fellas here, not now in the summer, but I had to wear the blazer, the tie, the tucked in collared shirts, and I know a few of the teachers around here would always pull me up and pulling up my socks, and being freshly groomed. And mind you, I went from a school where it was basically mufti day every day. I just didn't have to bring the dollar coin. And so I had 2 rat tails coming down one side of my head. I had also a blonde streak from one side all the way to the other end. I used to wear my hat not straight, not backwards, but to the side. And so for me, it was like going from a relaxed beach Sunday to then feeling like James Bond or something. And at first, I struggled in most of my lessons. I was on detention, and it was only until because I played first grade rugby league here, the rugby league coach said, look, if you don't put your head in, you're not able to play. So I didn't necessarily put my head in, but I was quiet in class. And I'm not sure if she still works here, but Miss Ferris, the maths teacher, Miss Trudy Ferris, I thank you so much. Because she was one of the teachers that one of the only people that never gave up on me when it come to class. I mean, I hated maths, and congratulations to the young fellas here for doing incredible in that. I'm telling you, I could never excel in that area. But, so I had her for a whole 3 years, and it come to a point where at the end, I was struggling with most of my subjects, but maths I did actually really well when I did my HSC, all to thanks to Miss Ferris. And as the motto says, what you sow, so shall you reap, meaning what you put into life is what you get out of it. So coming from all that struggle and then coming to this community, that really resonated with me, and I did start to apply myself eventually. But when I was in year 12, I was heading back, the same placement of which they gave the opportunity to come to school here, that same placement I lived for 3 years, had sent me a text as I was on my way back to school on the boarding school bus after the holidays, and they blatantly said, look, Isaiah, you're no longer welcome here, via text. So for 3 years, just like that, I was out of their care. And for the next year, as I started year 12, I had nowhere to go on the holidays. I didn't tell anyone about it because I was ashamed of where I come from and my story. I didn't want anyone to know that I was a foster kid because of all the stereotypes that come with it. And so I then become homeless. I just started staying at friends' houses, other boarders' places. I was eventually offered with no payment and support or reimbursement to live with a family in Griffith. And I'm so humbled and blessed and forever grateful that they took my younger sister and I in. And when I was growing up, one positive thing was to learn from a man named Eric Bell. And he was the Ngunnawal elder in the Yass community, in a small community around 5,000 people, one of the foster homes I grew up in. And he was a man who taught me about respect and the values of that, and having that love for yourself but also others. And he was a strong Aboriginal leader, and he received the Order of Australia Medal in 2011 for what he did in community. And the acronym, Order of Australia Medal, OAM, he's a funny old fellow. I used to call it the old Aboriginal medal. And if you get to a certain age, you just get one. But sadly, it wasn't much longer. He passed away from cancer. And when I went back to his funeral, I heard all the amazing stories, and it was a very packed funeral. And the priest had said that he's held different weddings and all sorts of different ceremonies within this venue, and he's never seen such a packed a funeral. And that just made a massive impact on me. I realized the value that he had in that community and how many lives he touched. So I wanted to be of the same stature and lead his legacy on. And so my purpose was found in my wounds. And so when I went back to Sydney, I was living in Redfern at the time. I started to connect with my community there, my Aboriginal culture, and eventually I found my family through Facebook. They reached out to me, and I started yarning with them, and that massive hole that was in my heart was covered, and I felt stronger. But after my negative experiences in foster care and hearing many different stories similar to mine, I then heard a quote by John E. Lewis. It says, If not us, then who? If not now, then when? I prompted to start my mission of change. So after working consistently and tirelessly for 2 years and staying up to 3 a.m. most times of the night, I'm proudly now the founder and CEO of a unique empathetic mentoring company called ID Know Yourself. And ID Know Yourself is a mentoring company for young Aboriginal people who are in foster care, the younger people who are currently walking within my life. And when I wanted to start up ID Know Yourself, people said to me, how could you do that? And these are people who I thought would have supported me. They said, you can't do that. I said, why not? I see all these other people doing it. It's possible I can too. They say, Isaiah, let's be reasonable here. Those people who are doing that have all kinds of qualifications and the credentials. You don't have the qualifications or credentials. They're not going to let you be a CEO. Come on, give me a break. And I just looked at them, I was like, thank you for that. And I kept doing my thing anyways. Most young Indigenous people don't have a choice. No choice of their own. They're stripped from their community, their culture, their identity, their belonging, their purpose. Statistics show that they'll not finish high school. They'll become homeless. They will end up in the criminal justice system. They have no choices. But at ID Know Yourself, within my company, we give them choice to show them that it doesn't matter where you come from in life. What matters is where you're going and that you have a choice into changing that. The power of possibility is incredible, and reminding yourself that it is truly possible despite your circumstances or situations in life. It can bring great value. I know I've learnt this myself. I would never have imagined the opportunities that I've been able to grasp over the last couple of years. I couldn't even read or write. I had to repeat year 4. I couldn't even write my name. But after keeping that mindset that it's possible, I did end up, as brother said, become the first Aboriginal person awarded the TAFE New South Wales Graduate of the Year. I was the first Aboriginal person chair of the New South Wales Youth Advisory Committee. I even sailed in the Sydney to Hobart, as he said. My only experience was on the Manly Ferry from Circular Quay twice. And they said, Isaiah, look, we've got this awesome opportunity. I said, yeah, what is it? I said, it's the sail to Hobart on a yacht, on a 70-foot yacht. And mind you, I grew up in a lot of country towns, and I'd never really been out in the water, but I did it, and it was incredible. It's a 4-day trek journey. It's probably another story, but it was amazing. And then I also did the Sydney to Gold Coast yacht race team. And so there were many times I would question myself, can I do this? But one thing that helped me to continue push forward towards my dream, and that has helped me establish my own company. It's a long shot coming from a Western Sydney car park, abused daily, sleeping on a floor, never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being able to be here with you today, speaking to you and attending St. Greg's, it's a long shot. No university degree, labeled stupid and dumb, but I kept running towards my dream. Don't stop running towards your dream. It's possible. There are many times you will come across failure in life. That's inevitable. That's just a part of life. But what I tell myself every time when I get knocked down, say this to yourself. It's a quote by Les Brown. When life knocks you down, try and land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and I really want to honour and thank so many of the staff here and this amazing college, because it's literally changed and saved my life, and it's made me into the man I am today. Thank you.
Thank you to Mr. Dorr, an amazing man and an inspiration to all of us. Normally, I would now invite Mr. Miller to the microphone. However, Mr. Miller, the students are taking over the assembly from now on, and therefore, along with Mr. Brennan, I would like to invite you and the official party to take a seat in the front row.
Once upon a time, there was a tall man who got into his car and drove a long way from his home and landed on a hill in Campbelltown, where he settled with his family at a well-known college called St. Gregory's. The school was unlike any other school he had been to before. It not only had students, it also had livestock in the form of sheep and cattle. And very soon, this man could use terms like heifer, steer, shorthorn, carcass, grand champion, and eventually be able to talk with experienced breeders about the quality of the Corriedale sheep. The college also housed a boarding community, and this was an excellent thing because when this man was at school himself, he was indeed a boarder and knew many things of what boarders would try, and so he was ready. Some would say with supernatural abilities, to know when fun and interesting things were about to happen and stop them in their tracks, always catching the boarders out. He also taught these boarders many useful things. For example, car parking 101. Students can now use this excellent grounding to apply for part-time casual work. Oh, and before I go on, I need to just add one more important piece of clothing to my attire. Now, when I first saw this coat, I thought it was a cream coat. I now know it's a beige one. One I certainly do not want to be known for, because as we all know, no one remembers beige people. Did you know that there are 525,600 minutes in a year? I would have had trouble remembering that number if I didn't have it written down here. But this tall man always seemed to be able to quote facts and figures all the time. And to this day, I've never seen him hold a piece of paper. That leads me to the following memorable quotes, like paces, perseverance, attitude, commitment, and effort equals success, gentlemen. And the ever popular, over to you, gentlemen. I'm telling you, there is an endless list. This tall man would sometimes walk around the playground and ask so casually, "What did I talk about in assembly today?" Senior boys were often given the task of warning the younger students to know when this might happen. Senior boys also had to warn younger students about the dreaded black book and pen, always at the ready in the tall man's top pocket for students who had incorrect belts, shoes, no ties, loose ties, old ties, wrong ties, just ties in general, shirts out, shirts half out, you get the idea. Any of these infringements could mean that you were asked to do 10 by 10s. Not sums, no. This had nothing to do with mathematics, but 10 sentences with 10 or more words and your name staying in the black book until you handed your work in. And he never, ever, ever forgot about it. Actually, it is a bit of a concern. That demand for small black books may now fall off with this tall man soon to leave the hill. This man, who you may now have guessed to be Mr. Miller, also loved his sport and encouraged all students to take on, in one of those speeches, a co-curricular activity. You know the spiel, the challenge is up to you, from a very broad range of choices. One area would have been in the music and creative and performing arts. Mr. Miller often ended an assembly by offering congratulations to the band and singers on their performance. So, the band have a number for you today, sir, that we think is from a favourite performer. I give you Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. as you guided the college, but every one of us knows that you would encourage us to leave here as Morris gentlemen. Do you know, sir, that another man called Frankie Valli also had the same idea and sang about it in a famous band called the Four Seasons? So, the senior students from this year's musical, another activity you encourage everyone to be a part of, would like to present you with this.
He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. Run the world, running down the earth, so walk like a man, my son. Walk, 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 walk. He said, walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man, my son. Running down the earth, so walk like a man, my son. Walk like a man.
What a successful performance. Thank you for the applause as well. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we know that some other people will probably use more words about you, but we thought we would end this morning with some words and pictures that reminded everyone that for the last 10 years, you've guided, built, and challenged all of us here at St Gregory's College. May I say, in your own way. So let's remember it, some of it now.
It's time to spend some time with our friends, so memories. Mr. Miller will say it clear and state a case of which we're certain. You've lived a life that's full. You've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. You did it your way.
Regrets, there were a few, but then again, too few to mention. You did what you had to do and saw it through without exception. You lived a life that's full and charted each along the byway, but more, much more than this, you did it your way.
Yes, there were times where sure you knew, where you bit off more than you could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, you weighed it up and spat it out. You faced it all, and you stood tall and did it your way. You've loved, you've laughed, you've cried, you've had your fill, your share of losing. And now, as tears subside, you find it all so amusing to think you did all that, and may we say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not you. You did it your way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. Let the record show you took the blows and did them your way. The record shows you took the blows and did them your way.
morning again, everyone, and in particular, Mr. Miller. This morning, we've gathered to celebrate the work of you, Mr. Miller, and have seen the elements of the legacy that you will leave behind here at the college. However, of all these aspects and all of these memories, if there's one impression that you have left on this college, it is the importance of striving for more. Over your time here at the college, both staff and students alike have witnessed your ability to model the charisms that make a Marist. Simplicity, presence, love of work, family spirit, and doing it all in the name of Mary. By way of your example, you have defined what it is to be a Marist in a truly Greg's sense of the word. We will remember how you defined the idea of Greg's presence in being both mentally and physically present in order to support the community. The Greg's love of work, through your willingness to do what needs to be done. The Greg's family spirit, in making a community of over 1,000 people all feel united under one banner. To discuss all that you are and all that you do through these 5 charisms, however, is not enough. You go beyond the bounds of these traits. You go beyond expectation and beyond a game. And this is something truly characteristic of your leadership. Your willingness to do more, to be more, to reach out beyond the fields of expectation, to sow the seeds of inspiration within the people you lead, is something to be truly admired. However, the seeds you have sown within the members of this community in these last 10 years have borne more than just inspiration. Their stalks are heavy with a passion for life. Their stems supported by the backbone of faith and an ability to give it all up to God, whether that be on the sporting field or in the classroom. All of this stems from your leadership, your sowing of seeds, day in and day out, for the past 10 years. The challenge is now over to us to continue this sowing, to continue to instill and foster a sense of community through Mary and through one another. On behalf of the members of St. Gregory's College, past, present, and future, thank you for everything, for showing us what it means to be a Greg's Marist, and showing us how to lead lives that make the most of every moment. Your time of sowing here at this community has reached its end. And now, in the true spirit of our motto, Quae Seminavaris Metes, it is time for you to reap what you have sown. I would now like to ask that you accept this shield, inscribed with the words, second to none, as a token of thanks for all of your work, presented by Sam.
Bet you're glad you turned up this morning. And we've run over time as usual, although I was watching the clock all the time. Usually I do know what's going on in this place. Obviously I had no idea this morning, but it was funny when I noticed certain people turning up who never come to an assembly. I didn't put it together at all, so well done. I can imagine who was behind all that, but anyway. So it was great you were here this morning. I was sitting there thinking, how do I get up and speak after you? Because that was a fantastic story. I know you were on a 6 o'clock plane out of Melbourne this morning just to get here and deliver that, so many thanks for that. Sorry I had to go through the rest of it though, but anyway. Miss Ray, I was going to do a speech this morning, I won't, we've run out of time, so I'll move past that. But I was going to talk about how do you maintain success. And part of it was going to be related to the band about, you know, you never know whether someone plays a wrong note or not, but her attention to detail is she would always know she's played the wrong note and she'll want to fix it up for the next time around. Then I was going to use an analogy of various sports teams. I won't go into it now. But what happened there this morning, just trying to get things organised, obviously it was attention to detail, those sorts of things which I talk to you regularly about. And I suppose going ahead as well, when you look at where you're going next year and how you're going to progress, you've had a lot of success over the years by being here. To see those two gentlemen this morning, Mr. Carter, Mr. Byram, get up and speak. The fact that they could stand up here in front of 800 people and speak so well was a real credit to them, and I know especially with Mr. Carter, he's had the Toastmasters experience. If that helped, that's great too. But you have so many experiences here, and that's how you do maintain that success that we go through continually. But I go back to the bottom line there, it's about attention to detail. And obviously to keep that quiet this morning, the attention to detail was very impressive. So thank you to who organised it. Thank you to all the people who have done the assembly this morning, and I'll leave you with that.
Thank you to Mr. Miller. As is tradition at the college, we'll finish the assembly with the singing of the Sub Tuum as the official party leave. I'd ask if we all stand and sing the Sub Tuum for the last time here today. Thank you, gentlemen. Please be seated. We'll just dismiss you. As Mr. Miller's already indicated, we did go a little bit over time today, which is fine. There'll be just follow the bells this morning, and we'll obviously enjoy the rest of the day under the direction of Mr. Cerrone. If you 10 could start to leave out the side doors, please. Miss Keir, if you're ready for year 8.